I shrug and I take the envelope and I start opening it.
I do hate getting involved in the politics of all of this.
My trusted kin, tomorrow night a delegation will arrive at O'Hare. You are to safely guard and transport them. To ensure certain troublemakers from within our social club do not disrupt your task. Use the night to receive my message to subtly kill the fire before it begins.
This is Red Moon Roleplaying.
So I feel we have to use what seems to be our gifts of... Well, you're a model. I assume you know people.
I do know people, yes. That is an asset that I have.
Excellent. And Alan, you... Forgive me, I hadn't actually heard your music till tonight. You know people as well, maybe?
Well, not that many people. I mean, apparently people in my circles know about me, but I don't get out just meeting people that often, I'm afraid.
I lean forward in the car and sort of give Alan the sort of smile that I think Dolph would be very familiar with. The sort of smile you give someone when you're trying to be polite, but you're kind of being slightly sarcastic and pessimistic to them. Now, Alan, this situation is quite serious. We're going to need more from you then. Oh, I don't really know anything, or I'm just a musician. Yes, you understand? You need your A game.
I've never done something like this before. Was it Vincent? I don't know. I mean, I'll tag along, and if there's something that I can help with along the way, then sure, yeah, I'll happily do that.
No, absolutely not. This isn't going to work, fellas. We're not just going to all be able to trundle up to O'Hare Airport, speak to this flyboy, and sweet-talk him into not getting involved, especially when we have another 2 people on our list. Half the night is already gone. If we're going to make the journey all the way out to O'Hare, it needs to be 1 or 2 of us that does it. I know we've discussed this already, but it's time that we made a decision on this. So hear me out. If our jazzy friend, Alan, is so uncomfortable with going somewhere public and speaking sweetly to someone like Flyboy, who is likely to be surrounded by a lot of mortals if he is, I guess, well placed in an airport, if indeed he is even there right now. Airport is a sort of place with a lot of security, and no offense, Alan, but you do not really have the face for security.
Yeah.
Therefore, if these other 2 people on the list are more underground individuals, the sort of people who we may want to restrain, if not talk to, I would suggest that Alan is better suited for one of them. Let's play to our strengths. If I'm the persuader, and Vincent is the money man, Alan, you're the shock and awe, as the military like to say. You need to be able to intimidate, or restrain, or break legs, as unpleasant as the idea might be. And I have heard that a stake to the heart is suitable for paralysing one of our kind.
I like your way of thinking, Dolph. Yes, see, Alan? That's what we need. Decisive action. I agree.
I'm not suggesting be inhumane. Once all this is done, you can go back to the place where you did it and take the stake out if it comes to that. My point is that all of us going to the airport isn't going to work, and there's 3 of us, so 3 of us might as well make ourselves useful. So you find a use. You don't just follow behind the rest of us.
I look between the 2, just my mouth open. Yeah. Oh, you want me to put a stake through the hot.
But he didn't say that's what you're doing, Alan. He said be prepared to. Difference, man. Difference.
How... Admittedly, you don't seem terribly intimidating, other than, obviously, if I caught a glimpse of your face whilst walking down an alley. But maybe that's what's required. We don't know what this... Well, the other two on the list, Dawson and Genghis. Presumably they're familiar with your clan, so... But that doesn't mean they won't be revolted by your appearance.
Yeah,
If you can act intimidating, if you can sound monstrous, if you can make it sound like you will do to them whatever it was that was done to make your face look like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I could trick them. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
And yes, if that doesn't work, well, we don't really have a choice as far as I'm concerned. We have to neutralize 2 of the 3 of these individuals in some way. And I'm not suggesting we kill, I'm not a murderer, but we're all pretty damn robust, I think that's clear. So we do what we need to do to get this job done quickly with as little interference and problems as possible, because quite frankly, as much as I'm enjoying your company in this very cramped car, I don't wish to spend more time than necessary in your company.
I assess Dolph for a moment, and my gaze on Dolph is far more flattering than it was on Alan. Yes, I agree. So the question is, Dolph, how do we get a meeting with Mr. Noah? As you said, he's not going to just be hanging about. We need to somehow get his attention.
Well, that little dossier that we were provided had a name on it, a Felicity Miller.
Yes, Department of Aviation.
If they're based out of the airport, and I assume that they are, one might consider speaking to Felicity Miller to get to Flyboy, or threatening Felicity Miller to get her to contact Flyboy. The risk is if we're in an airport and she calls in and says she's being held at gunpoint, for instance, there's nothing stopping this Flyboy from sending armed police or other forms of security after us, especially if he isn't aware that we are vampires, to be crude. We need to be obviously careful, try charming at first, make it sound like it's worth his while, maybe offer him a deal, that kind of thing. I'm not in marketing.
Well,
I'm all about flash, all about looks.
Well, Mr. Dolph, I think you'll find I have access to quite a few resources in that area. I'm sure if Mr. Noah wants to appear to be who's who in the city, I can help. I have access to resources, artwork, and most importantly, well, I even have a little bit of pull with the Toreador Primogen. A little bit of pull.
Well, in that case, I suggest the 2 of us go to the airport while Alan chooses another one of the 2 off the list.
Yeah. I'm sitting and I'm looking over the different letters we have and descriptions of persons.
Alan, as you are looking down, your phone starts ringing.
Oh, crap. I just click it off. This one, Charles Dawson Crook. He might. I mean, this Genghis' whereabouts are not sure, and it says he has tight security. I got an idea here. Maybe I could convince him that his establishment, his Crook's establishment, might be better off if not infested by termites or something like that.
Alan, your phone is ringing again.
I blink a little, noticing the phone ring, and just sort of watch you like, you gonna get that, buddy?
Or just switch your phone completely off.
Yeah, I'll switch it off. I send a quick look at who's calling.
It is Michael. your boyfriend, perhaps. Last you left Michael, he did not seem to be very fond of you. So the nature of your relationship is on a thin thread.
Do you need to get out the cab?
Yeah, I'll do that. You guys go do that. Maybe think of where you want him to stay as well. This delegation, and I open the door and I get out.
Let's exchange numbers. I'm sure this caller can wait for just a second as we exchange numbers, because we don't want to be stuck on the opposite sides of Chicago with no way of contacting each other, do we?
That's right, I have a pager.
Really?
Yes, well, I mean...
Do you keep it in your pocket next to your BlackBerry?
I do have a phone, Dolph, but you... I mean, you know, we're not really supposed to... I mean, it's strictly for work. I don't think
Well, I'm not sending people text messages saying, where can I get a nice supply of blood?
All right, I suppose you can have the phone number. Yes, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, sure.
I look at the phone as the call times out, and okay. Can you write this down? And I give my number.
And here's mine. I give out my card.
I take the card. Thanks. I got a call to make, and I'll keep you updated on where I get with this Charles.
Yeah, we'll take the car then.
Yes.
Just before we proceed, I want to know what kind of phone you're all using. You did get some burner phones from Damien, but I want to know what kind of phones you're using.
In terms of the number I'm giving everyone else, I'm giving them my normal number. I'm not giving that number out to Damien or anyone else in the city, but as far as I'm concerned, the only people who are likely to call me this late at night are these two. So I'm giving them my personal number, which will probably be on some up-to-date Sony or other.
This is the thing. Are you rousing the blood to be able to use your phone because it is a touchscreen?
Oh, well, I'll have if it's a routine difficulty for me, I will have some kind of stylus then. I certainly don't want to be having that hassle every single time I'm trying to use my phone.
I, ironically, do actually have an old BlackBerry. With the sort of type buttons. So yes, that is how I use my phone. And also, it's a very boring phone. It doesn't really have anything on it. In fact, the only numbers saved are, of course, the number of Dear Claudia Messenger.
Yeah.
Frank Teller's number, and sometimes the number my sire says to ring, but I'm pretty sure that it isn't actually her phone. It's simply a phone that she can access sometimes. So I suddenly am putting in these new numbers in an otherwise quite empty contacts list.
I think as Alan, I could probably have a pretty old school kind of phone, yeah.
You could have like a flip phone or something.
Yeah.
Like an old Nokia.
Yeah, I can play Snake.
Alright, so for the third time, your phone is ringing.
And as I close the door, I walk a bit down the street and I pick it up.
Hello?
Yeah, this is Alan? Yeah. Hey.
Finally, oh my god. I've been calling you I don't know how many times now. Listen, I don't even want to talk to you. I'm just letting you know that I am emptying the apartment, and I'm doing that tomorrow night. So just don't be in there. I'm just taking my own stuff. I'm not taking yours. Don't worry. But just don't be there.
Michael, you sure about this? I was trying to be honest with you. It's a big thing to have kept. You know, I was worried this would happen, you know, and now that I was being honest, what is it about with you, you know, what's the big thing?
Okay, listen, vampires doesn't exist, okay? You are completely delusional. It's not the fact that you lie to me that much. That pisses me off as well. But you seriously believe in vampires. I don't know what kind of drugs you've been taking behind my back, or what kind of influence your band has had on you. But I'm not doing this. It's over. I'm sorry. I'm removing my stuff. Don't be in the apartment between 8 and 10. Just, okay,
you want to talk, Michael. You know that? You want to talk. You're the one getting drunk all this time and getting messed up and getting problem with your own band. Is that where you coming with me? To me now? You know, I'm on drugs? What's this nonsense, you know? I was trying to keep an honest adult conversation. Are you even sober, Michael?
I am sober, and I have been sober for half a year now.
Well,
but I'm not the person believing in vampires here, okay? How old are you? 12?
Well, are you gonna ridicule me for trying?
For believing in vampires? Yeah, I am.
I could show you things, Michael. I can prove that this is true, alright? I can prove it to you if that's what you think is the big issue is. But I don't think it's that. I think it's you. I think it's you being scared of being together with someone that's just doing well for himself but having to live a lie all this time.
Me scared?
Yeah, that's what I think.
I'm not scared.
And you...
Okay, so what are you gonna prove to me? Are you gonna show me your fangs? Are you gonna turn into a bat?
You know what? You want to see stuff? Because I could show you stuff. Right now. I could come over right now. And I could prove it to you.
Right now?
Yeah.
Alright. Sure. Sure, come and prove to me that you are in fact a vampire. If nothing else is gonna give me a good laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye. Alright, so Vincent and Dolph, you can see that, or you can hear that there's some yelling going on outside the car. This is not just a normal phone conversation. And you can hear that Alan is in distress. And you can see on his face that he's not doing well. And there's something about that phone call that truly upset him.
Wonderful.
Let's drive on, I think.
I look at Dolph a little awkwardly and say, well, I do have a driver. We could let him go for the night, or we could use him.
Well, why should we drive if you have someone to drive us?
Exactly my thoughts. I page Teller to return, and I kind of just lower the window of the car. Alan, so you're all good to be going to the Crook's establishment, yes?
Yeah. I'll see if he's there.
No problems on the phone.
Yeah, it's just shit.
It's none of our business, Vincent. We're not prying into your personal life.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not used to talking about it anyway. You go do your thing, and I'll see you later.
All right, I'm not prying, Dolph. Just, if it has nothing to do with tonight, wonderful then. We'll contact you. You contact us. All good. Teller, good man. In the car, we're going to the airport.
Alright, so I will remind you that it is 1 a.m. in the morning, and sunrise is about 5 in the morning. So it takes about 30 minutes to get to O'Hare Airport. It's one of the biggest airports in the world. It is enormous. It's also a rather old airport and has a lot of history. And although you arrive at 1 in the morning, which is kind of the downtime period in the airport where most people are either sleeping in the terminals or at the airport hotel, or they don't have as many flights leaving and arriving late at night. There's still a bus going on. There is a lot of people walking around at the airport. We have businessmen dragging the trolleys behind them, walk at a fast pace that you don't want to get in the way of. You have families who are desperately trying to find passports in their luggage. They've left it in the lowermost part of the luggage. We have couples who are going out for honeymoons, and we have student groups who are arriving late at the airport, who are just kind of hanging around. And you have taxi drivers standing around outside the terminals waiting for customers. So you arrive at the airport and it looks like a regular night.
My first port of call, are any of these shops still open, running 24 hours or anything like that?
Yes, there are a couple of shops that are 24 hours. It's mostly just kiosks or convenience stores.
All I'm looking for is one of those sort of I Love Chicago kind of hoodies, something like that. My clan doesn't do well in bright light, and airports are glaringly bright. So I'll be putting the shades I already have on, and I will be purchasing a hoodie, oversized hoodie to wear instead of, well, might even wear it over my suit jacket, if it's big enough, because it's not like I'm going to overheat. Because, bright lights burn my skin.
Alright, so you successfully do that. It's one of the ugliest things you've ever put on your body, and you cannot help but feel almost ashamed. It doesn't even fit you well. You lose your shape in this hoodie. But you know it's a necessity, and you just have to deal with it. As you're walking around the airport, you also notice there's quite a large amount of security. There is, and as far as you can see, they are quite heavily armed.
Well, that's worrying. I assume we're not going to need to go through security to find our contact, because I didn't bring my passport with me. And I certainly don't have a boarding pass.
Having waited a bit for Dolph to have gone and dressed down, as it were, I have kind of made sure myself, yes, not to actually properly enter the airport too much or look at any of these security.
Let's see whether there's a kiosk, an information kiosk, where we can get directed to the Department of Aviation.
I nod and say, yes. Something tells me we don't really want to be getting anywhere near the actual cameras. Well, I'm sure we've been seen slightly, but not too much. We're just here to do a little chatting. Also, it's at this point that I kind of just feel the inside of my mouth and kind of realize I'm actually really, really hungry. Thinking that might be a problem.
Oh yeah, you, especially in here, people are running around, walking fast paced. There's a lot of people here, so you can almost feel the pulse of the airport. You can almost smell the blood as they pass by. You can see the throbbing veins of the businessmen walking by, just popping up above the collar of their shirts. You can see the groups of young people who are still laughing and having a good time. There is a lot of life in this airport, and you are getting hungry. You're almost getting so hungry now that you are getting irritated, and you just want to get this over with, or at least you want to find something to eat. You can't really focus on the task right now.
You know, do you think maybe we should... There's 10 minutes to go outside. Maybe there's...
Why don't you just head into a restroom? I can see the look. Head into a restroom. There's plenty of tourists. Someone's going to need to take a leak.
Here, though, in this sort of place.
Well, going outside the airport, it's not like there's a pedestrianised area. We either... I hate to sound like a irritated parent, but you either go here or not at all.
But I can't just anyone. Just any boy. I'll have to. All right. Yes. No. I'll have to.
Well, why not? Why? My family, such as we are, we help people. So why don't you tell me what it is you need? Do you need help from me right now? Vincent.
Kind of look at you a little strangely at this mention of my family. I don't quite get the reference. I need someone with some creativity, if you want to get my meaning. Someone who has an actual something to them. I can't just have any sour, dour tourist. Tastes like shit. Otherwise.
So you look for a tourist who's carrying a guitar case or something like that, and that would satisfy you? Is that the kind of creativity you're looking for?
As he says this, I think my instincts immediately start looking for exactly what he said, like anyone who guitar or a big bag of art supplies or anything, or a silly haircut.
Admittedly, you're going to not only want to find a tourist like that, but also a tourist like that who's going to the restroom. So if we need to lure someone in, I would really suggest that you try and push that feeling down right now, Vincent, and maybe once we're done here, we'll feed somewhere a little safer.
Yes.
I think the likelihood of you finding the sort of meal you want this late, just in case there's people listening, I imagine most of the restaurants are shut.
You make a good point. We should conduct business first. I say, kind of fiddling with my fingers a little. I know he's right, but I really could use just anything right now.
As you're standing there, you actually see a group of what looks like art students. You can definitely see on the style of clothing, their kind of weird hats and makeup and elaborate hair, that they are not a regular group of youth. Some of them are carrying suitcases that look like they have art supplies or canvases. So you're listening to what Dolph is saying. It makes sense, but you're kind of tired of him not understanding where you're coming from right now. He should know. If anyone, he should know what it feels like to be incredibly hungry. So I want you to make a composure leadership, because you want to take over this mission now until you get something to eat.
Mm-hmm. 4 successes, none of them criticals.
Alright. So that's just enough. You see this group of people. They are basically perfect for feeding in your eyes. It's actually been a while since you fed from someone young. So it is tempting beyond belief for you to stand there and just watch them walk by and disappearing into the crowd of people who are standing around the boards looking up when their flight and gates opening. You're almost itching as you're standing there, but you manage to keep your composure and listen to what Dolph says. Logic is still in the forefront of your mind, and that is what is controlling you right now.
Indeed. It's something my sire has told me many times, especially of our bloodline, that composure and stoicism are what lead the Camarilla. And I can do that. Yes, Dolph, forgive me for a brief lapse. Let's see about inquiring to see Miss Miller. I'm sure we can come up with something to get her attention, at least for a quick meeting.
Alright, so you head over to one of the many information desks in O'Hare Airport. This seems to be one of the larger ones, as it is in one of the larger terminals. And there are a couple of people standing behind the desk. You can see 3 from where you're standing right now, and they are all occupied talking to travelers or sorting out paperwork or talking on their headsets. But they all seem like they are uniformed in O'Hare Airport staff clothing. They don't belong to a specific flight company.
Alright, Dolph. Maybe you should take the lead. If I need to, I can push one's will a little, but it might be for the moment more prudent if you use your natural charm. I'm not really the most charismatic myself.
Don't worry, I can switch on charm. But for now, we'll just wait patiently in the queue. We're not going to cause a scene. We're not going to try and order someone to walk away. We have plenty of hours before sunup.
This is true. This is true. And again, I just adjust my sunglasses and wait by Dolph patiently.
I have to say, though, noticing now that you're wearing sunglasses as well, we do look a bit ridiculous.
I sort of smile a little.
When I say we look a bit ridiculous, I mean, despite my hoodie, you look a bit ridiculous wearing sunglasses. I look like a celebrity trying to conceal my appearance in a public space. You look like you look like you want to be in Alan's band.
That's the point, Dolph. It's part of the...
So we're just going to wander around through O'Hare Airport looking like the Blues Brothers.
Well, if people recognize me, they will expect this. It's...
Fair enough.
I take the glasses off. I'm aware how ridiculous it looks, but it's part of the act.
Why would they recognize you?
Have you not... I'm sorry. I happen to be known by quite a few people.
Oh look, the queue's cleared.
I put the glasses back on, and I say nothing.
Excuse me?
You approach one of the three people in the info booth. It is a middle-aged lady with large curly hair and a pair of very red glasses on her forehead, and another couple of glasses on her eyes. And she is she's handling some paperwork right now. She looks up at you. Oh, one second, darling. Give me 1 second. And she's sorting through paperwork ever so slowly.
I have to say, those are really good tasting glasses.
Oh, the ones on my eyes or the ones on my forehead?
Well, both, you clearly have an eye for fashion.
Oh, well, my daughter tells me that I'm following in the times, if you know what I mean.
Well, it sounds like your daughter has a lot of taste as well. You must be very proud.
Oh, she's wonderful. She's taking her final exams right now.
Oh, wow, what she's studying.
Journalism. I'm so proud of her.
That's a honest, reputable field.
It is, and I'm sure it will help her in the future as well. She's such a good girl. I remember.
Does she live in Chicago?
She lives at the outskirts. She's actually single, which is a shame. But
Such a shame.
Ignore him. Now, I was wondering. I don't suppose you could help us.
That's what I'm here for. I'm so sorry I'm getting carried away.
No.
I've seen your face before.
Well, that's why I'm dressed up a bit incognito.
Yes, I must say, this is not your typical outfit if you are in fact Dolph Sheng. Are you? Or are you just a lookalike? Because you look like him.
I lower my sunglasses a little, wincing in the light. Yes, it's me.
Oh my god. Oh, I've seen you in the magazines.
Oh, well, I'm glad you read those kinds of magazines.
I read them when my husband is not looking.
That's probably for the best. He'd get very jealous.
Oh, yes. Robert is quite the type.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yes, I know it's very late, and this man beside...
Oh, can I get your... I'm sorry, can I get your autograph? I have one of my magazines right here. 1 second. She bows down, and it takes her forever to sort through just what looks like piles of paperwork that has not been done yet. And she pulls out a magazine that's kind of curly, but it has you on the front page. You recognize it is about 2 years old, and that magazine has been read.
I remember that GQ photo shoot. That was a lot of fun playing with that white tiger.
It's one of my favorites. She pushes the magazine through the little slit in the plastic barrier between you and her, and she kind of jams it through almost. So if you can just...
I tell you what. If you can do me a favour, I'll not just sign this. I'll write a personal message to your lovely daughter. But we do need a favour, and it's quite urgent. I'm so sorry to rush. But I'll explain. Obviously now...
Can I get a personal note from me too?
Of course you can, dear. Now, again, sorry to rush you, but obviously now that you know who I am, this man next to me, he's my agent. Thoroughly, unfortunately, he's really dropped the ball. We missed a flight.
Oh, no.
Exactly. He was supposed to get me here on time, which is why I'm doing the talking. Usually he would do the talking for me, but, well, we'll be having words, believe me. Now, the reason I'm talking to you is because I have it on good authority. We might be able to get onto the next flight tomorrow morning as VIPs, which I know is an awful lot to ask, and it isn't something I'm asking you. I know you're not going to have the authority to give it, and I wouldn't expect it, but I have a friend in the Department of Aviation, which I believe is based out of this terminal, and if I've lost her number. I know it sounds silly, I've lost her number, but I was wondering if you could put a call through to her, or just direct us to her office. Because if you could, we will be out of your hair, you'll have a lovely note, we'll all be happy, and I'll be catching the first flight out of Chicago tomorrow morning.
Well, I'm sure I can help you with that little detail. Do you know the name of the one you're seeking?
Yes, of course, as I say, she's a good friend of mine. Well, she was. We haven't spoken in a little while now, a few years, and I've got a new phone. You know what it's like when you change phones. Sometimes some numbers seem to transfer over, some don't. Anyway, it's Felicity Miller.
Yes, sometimes I pretend I get a new phone when I get into a little discussion with my girlfriends. You know, Susanna the other day, she borrowed one of my favorite Tupperware containers, and she never returned it. And you know what I did? I just pretended like I got a new number when she called me. Yes, that's right.
Oh,
I'm that kind of girl.
That's a wicked thing to do.
I know. But yes, sorry, her name again?
Felicity Miller.
Felicity Miller, yes, I know her. Lucky for you, she keeps late hours. For some reason, she enjoys working.
She always has, for as long as I've known her.
Yes, I'm not sure why, but she's just that kind of woman that never got married. You know, never had children.
Well, you know what's your name, out of interest?
My name is Louisa.
Louisa, that's a beautiful name. Louisa, I tell you what. Rather than calling her and ruining the surprise, if you can just tell us where her office is, I'll surprise her. And you know, we've not seen each other in a few years. I would appreciate it so much if I could just drop in on her with a big surprise, a hug, and I know it would mean the world to her as well, and I'll be sure to tell her that it was you, Louisa, who set this little thing up.
Oh, she doesn't like when I do that.
I'm sure you have an airport map there of staff and departments and where different offices are.
I do. I'm not. I'm not allowed to do that. But you know what?
Let's be naughty, Louisa.
If you can do me a little tiny favor more, I really want just to get a little kiss. Maybe a little kiss, just one.
I'm afraid the slot in the glass, in the perspex between us, I don't think.
Well, I'll walk around. It doesn't matter. Just a little kiss.
Sounds fine to me.
A little kiss is absolutely fine, as long as your colleagues don't think it's going to be inappropriate.
Oh, they won't mind. It's not the first time.
It's not going to get you in trouble.
Well, you know what kind of girl I am. I like to mingle with the law.
Well, I know what kind of girl you are now. Yes, of course.
On the lips, of course.
You are sure your colleagues aren't going to mind that in the middle of the airport concourse?
No, I'm very familiar with my customers.
Apparently so.
She smiles, and when she smiles, it's like mouth full of coffee, brown teeth. A couple of them are missing. You think another one is rotting. You smile, and you can almost, like, if you had all your senses intact, you can almost see on them how much her breath would smell.
Well, I probably drank worse in protein shakes when I was alive, and I've definitely drank worse since dying. So yeah, bring her on.
She gets up from her chair. She walks over to you with these excited little steps, and she's it almost looks like an excited little child. And she's standing in one place, and she's almost exploding with joy. Oh, I'm gonna fantasize about this.
Oh, wonderful. I will make a bit of a show of it so that there's a lasting memory in her mind of the time that supermodel Dolph Sheng walked into her airport terminal, picked her up, span her around, and kissed her on the lips.
I just spent the whole conversation smiling in the really, what I feel is a polite way, but to most people just looks like, why is he smiling like that? And I just say nothing, tapping my finger every now and again in impatience.
Well, you pick her up, and she lets out a scream of joy. Everyone, her colleagues, are just looking over at her, just shaking their heads. Oh, Louisa! And you kiss her, and she almost grabs the back of your head and prolongs the kiss. But eventually she lets you go. And she steps back. That was so dreamy.
Yes, it was wonderful for me as well.
Thank you.
You're a very good kisser. What a lucky husband you have.
Oh, yes, Robert is... It's alright. She walks back to her booth, and she flips out a map of the airport, and she starts drawing on it. Okay, just let me... give me 2 seconds. That was intense. Okay, so what you want to do is walk over here. She starts drawing, and she's very good at explaining. You can tell that she's been in this career, this job, in many, many years, and she's used to explaining this to people who are far more stupid than you two. And she draws a red arrow to precisely where you have to go on the map. And that's how you get there.
You are a darling, Louisa, and as I said, I will be sure to tell Felicity that you're the person that guided us to where she has her office.
Oh, well, thank you. You made my year.
Oh, I am sure that I have.
And say hello to your little friend over there. He looks kind of funny in those sunglasses. Have you ever told him that?
He is a very funny man. You won't believe the sense of humour on him. Come on.
On the way, I quietly, in passing, just say, White cat, you didn't do one of those playing with a white... The only thing worse than people posing with animals that wouldn't remotely actually... is those paintings people used to take when they shot the animal. That's even worse art. You're aware that's that, right?
It was a live one, like a Siegfried and Roy kind of thing.
True animals do not just sit there to be petted. If you're going to paint one, that should be in there.
They do if they're sedated. It wasn't a painting, it was a clothing shoot.
Photos are the same... It's gosh, never mind. Well done, actually. That was quite good.
I'm sure it was, but it wasn't the tiger that was modelling the clothing.
Well, despite that was actually pretty good, I'll give you that. Nauseating, but pretty good on your part.
Well, if I can bring the feeling of nausea out of someone who's been dead for a few years, I consider it a success.
As you are approaching Felicity Miller's office at the other side of the airport, let's switch over to Yama. Yama, what are you doing? You have been left alone outside Crooks. The other two have driven off.
As I see the car driving off, I just shake my head and let out a big sigh. Out of all the vampires I had to be teamed up with, these two are even more overbearing and uptight than my parents. I'll see what kind of story I can spin to make this all come together. And I turn around and I start walking back to my apartment, which is quite close. I'm gonna need my A game if I'm gonna try and convince Michael. Just the usual things won't do, so I need to feed the dogs anyway, since I woke up at his place. They're probably starving by now.
Alright, so you find your way back to your apartment and you walk in, and almost the first gesture of love you've received all day is from your dogs. They jump on you so you almost fall over. They are so happy to see you.
Okay, stop. Calm down. Hey, you've been doing great, dog. Hey, Beethoven. I kneel down to give them both a big scratch. Yeah, Daddy's in real trouble, you know. It's really bad. And of course, out of the two animals, Grey Dog doesn't understand much of what I'm saying, except when I'm making an effort. Whereas Beethoven, the big, quite powerful Saint Bernard dog, he knows everything I say and everything I feel, because we have a very strong link between us. And I look him in the eyes and I say, listen, Beethoven, I'm gonna give you your favorite food today, but I'm gonna need a real big favor.
Beethoven looks up at you with those old wise eyes, and it almost seems like he's understanding what you're saying.
It's Michael, and you know how much he loves you, and I'm gonna need you to come with me, and you know we've been practicing you to say something. Maybe I'll let you bring a card to him. All right, I'll stand back a bit, and you just scratch the door and give him the card. And if you could try and say I'm sorry, do you think you could say that? I'm sorry.
Beethoven kind of cocks his head to one side and lets out a bark.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Let me get you a food, and I go over to the fridge, and on the way I pet the brown cat as well, and I go over and see that some of the other cats are sitting around, just waiting by their bowls. Oh yeah, I haven't forgotten about you either. Sorry, guys, I'm so sorry. And I open the fridge and I get all the nicest dog food out, mixing it up with some nice meat, and the same thing with the cats. This is a procedure that I do, and make sure that Beethoven finishes first so I can take him out. While I'm waiting for him, I'm also writing a little card and that I put some perfume on, and then we get going. I'll probably go and take my car and drive over to Michael's place.
Alright, so you arrive at Michael's place around 10 minutes after. You live pretty close. So you arrive at Michael's and he is putting some boxes out on the street. He lives in an apartment too. And you can see some of your stuff is poking out of it.
Yeah, has he seen me yet?
He hasn't seen you yet.
Okay. I look down at Beethoven and I hand him the card and I say, okay, you know what to do, big guy. And then I stand back behind a bush and I let my accompanying bugs completely leave me for once into a bush nearby. It's a eerily trickling feeling as they all start leaving my skin, and if anyone saw that bush they'd probably get terrified about all the life suddenly going on in it. But I let that happen, and as I watch Beethoven start making his way over towards Michael, and I use my cloak of shadows to remain out of sight.
Alright, so you definitely remain out of sight. Beethoven does what you ask him to. The only problem is he is quite a big dog and he drools a bit. So the car kind of gets a little wet, but not wet enough for it to be unreadable. He trots over to Michael, all happy to see him. He doesn't really understand the situation. He knows that you're sad. And Michael looks up, and you can see him petting Beto and say, "Oh, hello, Beto. What are you doing here? What do you have for me?" And he takes the card out of his mouth. So what does the card say?
It says, "Dear Michael, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to tell you the truth from the start, but I want to make everything I can to make things good again, and I'm sure this big guy would love to see that happen as well." And I hope that Beethoven is going to give him a real pleading look.
He is. He even whines a bit. You can hear it from the bush you're standing behind. You can see Michael is smiling. That overbearing smile he gives you once in a while when you've done something he doesn't like, but he's forgiving you. And he puts the card in his breast pocket and he says, "Okay, you can come out now."
And I make myself visible, and I start moving up to him. Hey.
He puts his hands on both sides of his hips and looks like he's waiting for you to say something.
I'm sorry, babe. I really am. I knew this is going to cause some trouble, and I should have been honest from the start. I really wish I had the courage. You're, to be honest, the first person I've told anything like this to. What can I do?
Just prove to me that you're not delusional. I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Okay. Okay. I can do that. Let me show you something, okay?
Okay.
Okay. You just stand where you stand, and I'm gonna show you something, okay? And I go behind a bush, and I try to use unseen passage.
Okay.
Which is a rouse check.
It is.
I roll a 3.
Okay, so you gain 1 hunger.
Yeah. And then, after that, I'm gonna move up, and I'm gonna make my way past him and into the apartment behind him.
He's looking around. Okay, are you coming out anytime soon? What's going on?
As I moved a couple of meters, not to startle him too much, into the apartment, I say, "Yeah, I'm right here."
He turns around. What? Where? What?
And I make myself visible.
Okay. How the fuck did you do that?
It's one of the things that was given to me when I turned into what I am today.
Oh, you can be invisible, or what the fuck?
Yeah. It's also one of the reasons I've been able to conceal my actual looks so well. It's a gift, along with this curse.
That's wow.
Is that good enough for you?
I mean, do you have like? Okay, so do you drink blood?
And if I had a heart that could pound, it would be beating so fast right now. And I feel very nervous, and I say, "Yeah, I do. But never from a human."
So that's why you never eat anything near me.
And that's why you never seen me in daylight.
I thought you... I don't know, I just thought you were some kind of... one of those persons that just liked sleeping during the day and being...
It will actually kill me.
It will kill you to be in the sun?
Yeah.
When does... How long have you... Are you born like this?
No. It's not been that long. It's been a couple of years now. you know my apartment. I know you don't like going there. It's this apartment that I have. It belongs to someone, and I didn't know that. When I moved in, suddenly there was one of my kind there. He gave me the choice between dying or becoming one of his sort and looking after the place. Obviously, I didn't want to die, so he turned me into what I am. And believe you me, I would do anything to reverse this. What I got, I'm not happy that I have this. It's not helped me one bit so far. I just want to play the piano. I want to have a good life with the dogs and with you.
Michael steps forward and he embraces you and gives you a hug. He caresses your hair in that soothing way that only he can do. He makes you feel safe for the first time tonight. All of your dad, the attack in the club, the drama in the relationship, it's all just getting too much for you now. And his embrace is just, it's almost like it's taken away all of the pain. Finally, there is someone here that understands you. Finally, there is someone here you can share your burden with, and someone who likes you for who you are despite your initial reaction. Look, Alan, I'm sorry for my reaction. I hope you understand that. I just reacted because I didn't understand. I still don't understand anything, but I trust you, you know? I do.
Yeah.
We've been through so much fucking shit.
Yeah, I know.
And the fact that
I'm sorry that I said what I did about you and been drinking and stuff. I you know how I always wanted to help you with your things as well.
I know. It's fine. I'm getting... You know, I have fallbacks too. I have my demons, you had your demons. And apparently, you're a vampire.
Yeah.
I mean, so be it. Okay,
vampire.
fuck that. You're a vampire. Let's deal with that shit. Let's.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest thing we've gone through. Maybe I'm saying that because I don't really know what the fuck you're talking about still. But
Yeah.
you know, fuck it. Let's do this, baby. Let's.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I kiss him.
And he kisses you back, and you just share this moment of relief. You feel like suddenly you gain the willpower to do what you've been told to do. You know you have a safe base now. You have a base where you can return back to.
Okay. Listen, Michael, I ended up in some really serious stuff. There was some guy at the club tonight. Apparently he was a vampire too. I know this is all crazy.
I mean, you could tell me
but...
that aliens exist right now. I don't, dude.
No, I've never seen an alien. I don't.
I've never seen a vampire.
Well, you kind of have technically.
You know, I have, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a thing I need to go do. I need to go talk to a person that is going to cause trouble for some of our kind, and I was hoping I could come back here afterwards. So are you gonna be in later?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna take your stuff back in. Do you want me to take care of Beethoven or?
No, he's been locked up all night. Maybe it's good that I bring him along.
Yeah. Okay, well, fair enough. I'm gonna be here. Take care of yourself, whatever you're going to do. I don't really know what your kind... Are you talking like the gay community, or you're talking like vampires? Or, I mean,
well,
you have
no.
so many labels now, dude.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, right. I didn't even think about that. Well, this is... This you see, there's I mean, there's so much to say to explain how these things work. There are like we have a separate sort of regulation with the sheriff in the city.
Sheriff?
And
like the Wild West?
yeah, that's what they call it. It's the local law, whatever you want to say.
The
you know.
law? Okay, they're vampire police.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
the
there's
shit,
that too.
dude?
Yeah.
That's so
And
crazy.
I just heard of him before. I've never been close to that. You know, to be honest, I've been trying to keep as far away from this stuff as possible, but now it's coming back to me. And he's asked me a favor that I can't refuse. And well, yeah, I gotta go talk to a guy that he thinks was gonna cause trouble.
Alright, you go do what you gotta do, babe. It's not a problem.
Okay. I love you.
No, I love you too. Take care.
And I give him a quick kiss, and I go back to my car, and I'm gonna see if I can find my way to this Crook's Lounge.
Alright, so do you know where you're going?
I look through the glove compartment in the car, and I find this brand new iPhone that I have that I never ever use, and I bring it out with the glove to be able to maneuver it, and turn it on, and I look up Crook's Lounge near Rogers Park.
You see there are actually 3 Crook's Lounges. It's a chain establishment.
So what about the one near Rogers Park?
Yeah, that's the one you're going to. So you set that to navigation and then go, right?
Yeah,
Alright.
that's it.
So you're heading there. Let's see what Vincent and Dolph are doing. You've almost reached Felicity Miller's office. You are in the opposite end of the terminal. And you can definitely see that this is not a place for travelers. You went through a few different corridors. And you can see this is more people that works here, and they kind of giving you like some strange looks because you look like tourists. At least one of you do. But no one is approaching you. No one is stopping you. You reach the Red Cross that Louisa marked for you on the map, and there's a door. The problem is you can definitely see that there are some security systems. There are some electronic locks on those doors.
You know, I realised after I kissed that person that I probably should have taken a bite, shouldn't I? But, oh well. I'm not exactly au fait with hacking a keypad, so I suggest we just knock on the door.
I would agree. And I kind of just take a moment to look around. Do I see a lot of security cameras in this area? Or maybe just 1 or 2? It's more just a general seeing how many people are seeing us at this time, possibly.
You can definitely see that there are 2 security cameras at the corner of the doors that are kind of just like zooming around.
Yes, let's just knock and, honestly at this stage, act how we would if we really were here to see Miss Miller on a business proposal of some kind. I can come up with something. What do you say?
That sounds perfectly suitable to me, at least until we get alone time with her.
I knock gently on the door.
It takes a little while before anything happens at all. Almost so long that you think that nothing is going to happen. So you stand there and you are just waiting for a reaction until you hear a faint beep and a woman opens the door, and she has her hair slit back into a ponytail. She's wearing a suit. She's wearing a pair of glasses, and she pokes her head out, and she just looks at you expectingly. Can I help you, gentlemen, with something?
Hi, real sorry to bother you this time of night, Miss Miller, but I represent parties really interested in... Apparently you're the person to speak to about a certain Noah Gruel.
Yes, I know him. Who are you?
I am Vincent Taylor. Perhaps you've heard of me. Do you read Art Magazine Weekly or Artist Renewal? Or are you at all familiar with the Chicago art scene?
No.
Well, otherwise you might know that Mr. Gruel was a member of a much larger family and we are cousins of his, despite appearances to the contrary.
Oh, I see. Well, do you have an appointment with Mr. Gruel?
We don't, but we were really hoping you could get us one. We're here to offer something I think he might find interesting. Obviously, that'll be up to him to decide, but we'd love to have the chance for a little business meeting.
So, that's fine and all, but what do I get out of that?
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the chronicle The Sacrifice from Chicago by Night for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Chicago by Night is published by our friends at Onyx Path Publishing, and Vampire the Masquerade is published by Modiphius. Our storyteller was Klara Horskjær Herbøl, and we were also joined by the gentleman gamer Matthew Dawkins. Check them out on social media and on their Patreons to support their work in the tabletop space. The intro was composed for us by the amazing Simon Kølle, and he has also provided us with all of the music for this chronicle. Check out his work at simonkolle.com. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. More importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out on Patreon. Thank you again for listening, and see you soon again.